At Assistance Dogs of the West, we train many different types of service dogs. As a result of that, we have many different temperaments needed for whatever job they're going to do. The courthouse dog, to me, is a dog who has the temperament of being very low aroused, not much bothers them. If something drops on the floor, they look over and say, "Up, bomb, drop. Somebody gonna get that?" There's not much reactivity in the dog at all. They are a dog who wants to cuddle, who likes to be petted. This dog right next to me, you could pet him, or you could pat him, or you could poke him. You could do whatever you wanted to him. And did he wake up? No. So this is a dog who's who will accept any kind of tactile information that is being given to him. If he was to have too much information, he would move away, which I think is fair for a dog in that kind of environment. And a handler's going to see what is appropriate and what is not appropriate, because the other part of the job for courthouse dogs is the trainers need to understand what is needed in the courtroom and train their handlers accordingly to handle that environment. Whether it's an overactive kid who has a hard time telling a story because they're too active and it's hard to get them calmed, they may need to show them how to pet the dog nice and slowly so they can get a calm reaction out of the kid, and the dog can help facilitate that. The dog being able to do some skills, retrieving stuff, being able to start that interaction for the kid. A dog who's going to listen to little voices, I think, is really important also. And that is something that is, people don't really think about this, but this is something that is trained, because my adult voice is going to be much different than the 5 or 6 year old child who is saying sit. You want to facilitate a connection, and you want your dog to be able to respond to that. And so that's an important thing that I see that dogs need to be able to do, is hear that little voice and do it correctly. As far as their temperament is concerned, he'll stay here as long as I'm going to stay here talking about courthouse dogs. And a dog who is fine about doing that versus another dog who could get bored easily and want to go wander around or go visit friends. You need a dog who likes to be attentive without being pushy. And that's something that, you know, we've all trained golden retrievers and other dogs who will lay down next to us, and every 5 seconds you get your elbow bumped up because they want to be petted. A courthouse can't deal with that kind of dog, because that dog could be seen as interrupting something that was important of what was going on between the child and the system, or anybody in the system. So a dog who is able to be self-contained and confident, is able to handle emotional rise in people's voices without getting stressed themselves. And a dog who is accepting of the public, likes to get petted, likes to have their head pet. Not all dogs like to have their head pet. And that's something, again, it comes more that a dog who really, really likes it versus a dog who's trained to like it. Courthouse dogs must be able to handle having different handlers in their life. And what happens to a dog in the courthouse system is it is always owned by a primary care person. There will always be that one person who they go home with and who takes care of their needs and shelter and water and all of that. But on the job, it is a dog, again, who can handle the different people that are in their immediate circle. It may be a support person who has taken the dog out to go to the bathroom. It may be an actual dual handler where a dog will be working in 2 different environments within the court system. And for most dogs, if they have this temperament and both handlers are speaking the same language, you're going to have a dog who understands what his needs are, what he needs to do for each person. And so it really becomes an issue of everybody who is working hands-on with a dog having consistency. And it can be simple things. Just, you know, when you ask the dog to sit, when you ask the dog to down, whatever it is, one handler may only be doing a certain set of tasks where another handler will do all the tasks. It really depends on everybody's input on the dog. And it's a dog who's comfortable knowing that I go off with Joe between 12 and 2 and I come back and I'm with Mom for the rest of the day. It's something that they understand on their work life. Courthouse dogs need to have a level of task work throughout their day. They need to be doing commands that are going to offer connection, like visits with a dog's head in the person's lap and be able to remain there while the person pets them. They need to be able to do my laps where they actually put their body on that person and they don't step on them, they don't poke them, they don't scratch them. And people think, well, that's an easy command to train. And it actually takes quite time to train a dog who's going to actually lay in a person's lap for 30, 40, 50 seconds, you know, maybe a minute, maybe even longer. Without hurting the person and without, you know, causing any harm to or making anything scary for a child. A dog has to be able to do long downstays without reminders and without their handler, you know, their handler needs to be able to move around the courtroom with knowing that their dog is going to do the downstay and stay in that position until they come back to them. Some dogs, that's a hard process for them. Other dogs that are chosen right on the temperament, that's an easy task for them. And even though it doesn't look like a dog is doing much when they're actually in a long downstay, it is a trained task. You start with something that only maybe a second, and then you work up to 5 minutes, and you work up to a half hour, and then you may work up to sitting at a conference with your dog under the table for 3 hours. These are all trained behaviors in the dog. Loose leash walking, being able to not walk around pulling their handlers, I think is important. Being able to move out of the way of people with simple commands, whether it's moving to the side or moving to the left or moving to the right, whatever they have to do, they have to be able to be out of sight and be out of mind. Fun commands, fun, silly commands that are going to, again, invite connection. Shakes, you know, whatever somebody wants to train that may look like a funny little pet trick may be the way into somebody's heart to open them up. When I think about who they are in moving throughout the court system, all of their stuff is there's a gentleness and an ease about the dogs, that there's a confidence and a calmness about them that is felt.